Hello and God heaven. And that's the first word, first new word that I'm going to share with you. What does it mean? We take the G to represent Gaia, the odd, because everything in this world seems to be odd and makes no sense. Things don't add up. And then we bring balance to them. So, God heaven, it's upon earth. You take the oddness and you even it out and you bring about a balance. So it's effectively a wish to you to find balance inside yourself. That comes from this last 18 or so days where I lost internet connection, which coincided with a new moon and has now resolved itself as we approach a full moon. That was not lost on me, any more than during this time my neighbour gave me 5 books to read about the life of Ludwig van Beethoven, who was deaf to the outside world, and I have very much been through that experience whilst not having an internet. As a comment was made, the sim life, because it just shows how, especially living in this remote place, how isolating it can be. But what to do with this time when you're cut off from the outside world? There's no point brooding and going into that negative of, oh, I've got no internet. There were solutions around that. When I go to Monchique, it's a very weak signal at the supermarket, but at least I can read and reply to messages. But opening up something like YouTube, forget it. And my neighbour, when they're at their place, sometimes the guy will go away for several days. He's got Starlink, and he said, oh, you can use it anytime. So it's a simple thing to resolve, as it turned out, that it just need manually entering the network provider, which somehow sort of kicked the phone back into action. So now everything is functioning again. But using these last 18 days into something productive and something creative, going with a positive polarity rather than a negative polarity, is key to this. And so during this time, what I've actually been doing is responding to countless requests. I say countless because I've never counted them. Requests and suggestions that I should write a book on etymology. This isn't all of it here. But about half of what you can see there. So it's about 70 to 80 pages so far, and I'm still skimming the surface on the topic of etymology. This has been quite a revelation, and it's ongoing. It's something it possibly will be my magnus opus. It takes the outside world, using the resources we've got, and then creating a great reset. This is where this will lead. As I've said on previous videos, the English language is the most effective spellcaster that you'll find, that has been put out and promoted and encouraged around the world. That is the reason for it, because it has a ambiguity, it has a very deceptive advantage from the legal perspective perspective on the way things can be heard. So if I was to use the phrase, I was about to make the tea, that could be written down as I was about to make 30. Just that subtle change, that sleight of hand in between what is said and what is written. So as I'm going through this breakdown of the language, looking at every character, and I do know these characters very well, these letters of the alphabet, what they reveal, and where this can go will become a working manual. Rather than trying to go back and answer the questions of the origins of it all, which I think would be somewhat futile, I feel it is better to examine things as they are now, with a looking to the future and the intention of in the future of creating what I'm calling Angelosen Erentees. Something that will empower you and give you something that is more than a match for the thing that will entrap you, which is the thing called legalese, which sounds like English but is very much not English. So this is in the early stages of formulation, just going through, looking at the English language, looking at the individual characters, the sequencing of those characters, how they are put together. I mean, you may find yourself in prison, which sounds very close to prism, but it is a prize son. It is taking away your son because it is stealing your time through entrapment. If you look at the word guilty, notice it has the word guile and tie joined together. You are found guile-tied because it is purely down to the wording and how it is written as opposed to how it is said. So the outcome of this has been formulating the sort of embryonic stages of creating something that will provide a very useful tool, which I would suggest needs to go as far as a total reset of the English language, one where there is clear, singular definition for every single word, where things cannot be changed. So you could say the writing that I'm doing is not in vain, and yet it is also in vain, depending on how you spell that word vain. Why isn't this pausing? I was about to cough, but the video doesn't want to pause, but we seem to have got over the wishing to clear the throat. So I shall carry on. So it's not been lost on me to have this being lent these books on Beethoven, how he went deaf to the outside world, and it's like the universe is having a little game with me here. And it is further proof through the experience of just hold to the vision of the future. Don't go into that negative default state of victimhood over things that have happened. Work towards changing things. And I've had some incredible help through Keith and Gro, who were living here, who've gone back to Sweden, and then I had a neighbour from much further down the valley came to check it I was okay. Julia from Simplicity Revealed came at just the right time and brought me things like milk and coffee and tobacco, things I was on the point of running out of. And with having no internet connection, also with a secondary problem of accidentally deleting apps, I take full responsibility for all of this, and I said it out loud to the universe that I do take responsibility. That seemed to change everything as well, and things have resolved themselves. But out of it has become this creativity that I'm still on the early stages of creating this book on etymology. I would like it if a few of you out there could enter into something like a buy me a coffee, maybe just €1 or $1 a week, and then maybe sort of once a month sort of send it across via PayPal. I may even look into setting up a buy me a coffee like some other channels have as another sort of means, because my income is solely coming through having an internet connection. So it's been a valuable lesson. As much as anything else, I'm watching how close I get to the data allowance. So there is the early stages of a book coming, and I just require a bit of sponsorship, really. That's what I'm asking for. I'm not out the woods yet, as it were, financially. I've got a little bit of funds that I can't actually access until I've sorted out the banking up, which is causing a little bit of a challenge, but it's something that will be overcome. What has been frustrating is getting 1 or 2 emails asking with cries of help. So fortunately, I've now been able to respond to those and look at their situation and give them some pointers on how to change things. The easiest solution can be to relocate, but it is not always possible. So let's look at other options. There are other things that you can do to improve your situation and how you feel about your situation. This is the key to everything. It's the angle that we come at these things, how we perceive these things, which makes all the difference. It leads to a sort of self-empowerment that will get you through these things, and I'm certainly have been going through it and still going through it, but I accept these challenges. They are a necessary step. Really, everything is just a story. So you just need to break that word down, story. It's a store-eye. It is what is stored in the mind's eye. Nothing to do with the physical eyes. So it's not seeing in the sense of the physical eyes looking at the external. So something that came to me was a song called Jumping Jack Flash, It's a Gas, Gas, Gas by the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones is a reference to that stone in the story in the Bible of when Jesus is resurrected. It's to do with the third ventricle in the brain. It's the way to pineal. That's the rolling stone. It's something that rolls back and allows that kundalini rising. The jumping jack flash is how things will come to you. So the title of the book that I'm in the process of writing is called There, Oh Well, Never Mind. The title just came into the mind. Didn't even have to think about it. It's like came in a flash. What also, as part of this ongoing story, a song that's stuck in my mind is from a film called My Fair Lady. It's sort of half sung by the actor Rex Harrison, and I believe the title of it is Why Can't the English Learn to Speak? That's stuck in the mind. That was part of a store-eye that would sort of make sense as things unfolded. Why can't the English learn to speak? Well, it's all to do with the etymology. But more than that, if we take the name Rex Harrison, Rex implies king, Harris, so it's harassing something, which is your internal son. As Yolanda on True Love Channel says, the radio and the television are very interactive. They will send you messages and things And I don't know why that particular song stuck in my mind, but now it does make sense. And then the Rolling Stones song just popped into the mind. Jumping Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. And it is through etymology. Now, if you look at that final letter, that 26th character, the Z or the Z, you'll notice it is like a mirror of the S. But instead of having the curves like the center of the yin-yang, it is now straightened out lines, you could say totally unnatural. So if we take the word saga, which is a story, now substitute the S for a Z. Now swap the position of the S and the G round, and you'll find you have a story that is being very much kept in the news. That is an external reflective reminder that is actually sending you a clue. I'll talk about this in a separate video. But it is a huge clue to find the internal story of the one inside yourself that comes out of all of this. So I think I want to try and keep these to no more than about 20 minutes so it doesn't use too much data, so we don't have this repeat problem of reaching the data allowance. There was an 11 gigabyte discrepancy between what the phone was saying and the network provider was saying, so I'm sort of being wary of that, and I feel 20 minutes is a long enough video. But I'm still going to be doing a lot more work on this. I have discovered one of the most powerful characters in the alphabet is that 6th letter, the letter F. Especially when there is 2 of them together within a word. It is a very powerful character indeed, but it's not obviously the only one. I will go more into this in what I intend to be a working manual. And then I would invite a group of us to all come together on this and actually totally reset the English language into something new, where we cannot be fooled. This is the difference between legal and lawful. Lawful. You're falling for what seems to be laws by the legalese. This all ties in. So this could be a very powerful tool that you can have to hand that will be something that will greatly help you and be more than a match for this legalese. How far this develops, whether it becomes an entirely separate language, well, only time will tell on that one, but I feel this is the way forward. To come up with something that will help empower you in this external world. The world really is a stage, and within this world stage there are many, many worlds. They are the internal worlds of the U inverse, the universe, which is U inverse. So all that is shown to you in the external, the out there, is actually going on inside each and every one of you. But it's whether you can, whether you have the correct definitions or the definitions of words, how you can then look at something and you'll be able to decode it. And looking at the sequencing of these characters, how this all comes together, it's very well thought out. But we're in a realm that has duality and contrast, so it can be turned to something that is working for you rather than something that appears to be working against you. So I am asking for donations, but ideally I would prefer to be doing tarot card readings, healing, mentorship, befriending. But ultimately, I feel this will change things in a very big way with the completion of this book, if I can ever get it completed, because every word I write, I am now finding and seeing so much more within each word, which does make it difficult and makes it a very interesting challenge, but it is a challenge that it will be overcome because I've already seen the finished book in the mind. It's already been created. Now it takes the action of following it through. So that's where we're at the moment. Sunday, I picked in some ways the wrong day to go to Montjuic. It took me 2 hours to walk there because the temperatures suddenly soared. But it was a way of getting connection and getting necessary supplies of things like milk. Obviously with the hot weather, things don't keep as well as they could. I don't have a fridge, but what I have made is a little polystyrene sheet box which acts like a fridge on a tiled floor, so it keeps things cool and at least gives things a little bit more of a shelf life, so I don't have to make too many of these trips if it's going to take 2 hours to get there with this intense heat. Fortunately today it's a little bit cooler. So that's a sort of brief summary and overview of how things have been going over these sort of last 18 days or so. So yes, I'm back, and once again I'm going to say God Evan to you. There's your first new word with a singular meaning. That my wish for you is to find the balance inside yourself to be able to weigh things up. This is reflected in an ongoing story externally. I'll talk about that on the next video. So as always, I'm going to say unconditional love to you all, and if you can help financially in any way, that would help me enormously. The book will be written, but obviously I'm in a community. See, this is also redefined. The community is 3 of us, myself and Junus and Damiana. So the family is of living beings, or as far as I'm concerned, the perception of what a family is totally different. It's based on a connection of 3 living beings, but it goes greater than that, because this canopy also provides a home for little lizards where they're not being hunted by the cats. There's also bees that seem to have taken to sort of nesting up there as well. So again, I could say they're part of the family. It just depends on the definition of what you consider as something is this or something is that. That is something this external world has very much used against us. So we go to the literal and the material interpretations of things when deceptively there is alternate meanings to every word, and those words can and will be used against you if it is something you later rely upon in court. Notice the wording there. It's already an assumption and an accusation that the words that you use you are going to later rely upon. So it's an accusation that you're already lying. But how many people even hear it that way? This is what this book is going to address. This will give you the empowerment. So we can create a new story. We can create a real beneficial reset out of this between us. So I hope this is something that strikes a chord or rings a bell inside you. And as I've just said, but carried on talking, I'm going to end here and say unconditional love to you all.